Welcome to Absolutely Marvel at DC. My name is Benny. That is Dan. That is Dylan. Dylan, line up my pointing so it lines up with where you guys are.
It's going to be wherever it is. I think you might have gotten it right, though. I think you might have nailed it this time. Actually, no. You pointed the opposite direction for Dan, but me was correct.
Well, you're down. That one's not hard to get wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was like, and that's Dylan. Anyway, guys, we
just have us like constantly moving around him, so he's never got
screensaver.
It's like the DVD.
Welcome to Absolutely Marvel at DC, guys. This is the channel where I sit down with a couple of my buddies and we talk about all your favorite DC and Marvel superhero TV shows and shows that are just superhero themed. We talk about movies, we talk about TV shows, we talk about video games, theories, discussions. We even go and watch old stuff. Soon, I'm going to sit down with Dylan here and we're going to watch Fightful Goes West and give you the full review. Just keep checking the channel every day for our Fightful Goes West review. But today, we're going to be doing a Shang-Chi. Gotta say it properly, Shang-Chi review.
Can we also watch Brave Little Toaster?
Yes!
All right, cool.
Okay, we'll do Fightful Goes West, and then we'll do Brave Little Toaster.
Little double feature. Love that movie.
Are we going to drag Dan into our childhood cartoon dreams again?
If he wants. You want to watch Brave Little Toaster, Dan?
Sure, we can watch those. We'll watch one from my childhood as well. We'll watch Fern Gully.
Okay. All right. It's the triple feature. If you want that, let us know in the comments down below. All right. So I'm not going to recap Shang-Chi because I'm assuming if you've seen the movie, you that's why you're watching our review. So we'll kind of go into it. But before we go into our official opinions, I want to let you guys know something that I did as soon as that movie ended. I came home. I went on the internet. I found out which pair of Air Jordans he was wearing. Found them on eBay for $90 in my size and bought them.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it was good fashion in this movie. I liked the wardrobe. I actually have a specific thing about the wardrobe that I liked, but
that's actually perfect. Let's go into that now because that's actually why I brought up the shoes. This is the first Marvel movie where I've actually watched it and been like, wow, they all dressed very well. Like I really enjoyed the costume design for this thing. And they definitely zoomed in on the Air Jordans logo on that shoes enough time to product place that for me.
You gotta pay for the movie somehow.
Yeah. What did you want to say about the wardrobes, though?
I just really liked, so something that, like, you know, movies like this do a lot, going back to Star Wars, like the color-coded lasers, so you can tell easily from afar whose side is whose. In the climax of this fight, or of this movie, the climax fight of this movie, I liked that the sides were color-coded. Like, everything that the villains were doing, they were all dressed in, like, dark shadows, and, like, the energy was all blue, and then, Shang-Chi's side was all, like, red and gold, and I thought that was, it was, like, dynamically done well, and it was just, like, a fun, like, you know, visual thing to show to demonstrate the two sides of this war. And I thought that was really cool. It's something I don't see a lot anymore, but is a neat touch to use that.
It really makes the fight itself pop when you're seeing like the electricity blue, and then they're using all the dragon scale red. You know exactly who's on which side, kind of a situation.
It also really made the moment when they do join together feel more impactful because you see, like, you can truly see the different factions intermingled with each other, just trying to survive.
It was actually,
I thought that was really good too.
It was a really good visual when Razor Fist cut off his sword to put on a Dragon Blade sword.
Yeah,
now, for the record, I don't think it works like that, but
probably not.
You know what?
But who cares?
When he showed up, I'm not for those World of Warcraft players out there. When he showed up, in my head, I heard the intro. Kargath Blade Fist has like, I was just picturing I'm like that's Blade Fist, Razor Fist. I had to keep getting it mixed up in my head, but I actually really like that guy. He was I believe the movie version for Brother Saber. Which is
I feel like they're kind of getting rid of the 5 weapons thing, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
They are trying to, but you could tell that they were like hinting or at least trying to vibe on that with the fact that the sister mostly did like the dagger whip thing, and in the comics she's Sister Dagger. They skipped the other 2 siblings, but that's beside the point. I was just glad that we did like have a little bit of that, and anyway. Sorry.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning of the movie. We'll take it from the beginning of this whole thing, where we discover that Shang-Chi is in hiding. He apparently every day does push-ups. I don't know why that stands out to me. Maybe because he was so ripped, but every day wakes up,
I
does
know
push-ups.
exactly why it stood out to you, because you saw it and thought, I should start doing push-ups every day when I wake up.
I already do. I literally do, Dan. Okay, so he woke up, ripped abs, jumps down, does like 3 push-ups, and my first thought was, doesn't work like that. That's not how that works.
You know what? I'll do the Shang-Chi workout, and we'll see how it.
Okay,
how
3
it works
push-ups a day for your entire life?
3 push-ups a day.
That's all you need.
I'll do. That's all I'll do. 3 push-ups.
But yeah, no, it kicks off showing how he's living, and then we meet Aquafina, I believe is how she said she has her name pronounced through the comedian circuit. Let's talk about Katie for a moment. I did not mind her, but I feel like once he went off to go to the family, they just dragged her along so they would have the jokes. I don't feel like the jokes were improperly placed, but I do feel the movie would have done better if she just didn't go. Like, didn't go on that journey.
I disagree. I think she was a good, she represented, like, the life that Shang-Chi had before, like, after he left, the tortured home that he had. And obviously, like, the point they were trying to make with her character is just, just a message of, like, you can find yourself anywhere. Like, it's never too late to be your own person. And
oh, he said that. Be your own person, Shang-Chi.
yeah, because that was kind of that's the whole point of this movie, is just like, be yourself and be proud of who you are. And sometimes your parents suck, and that's okay. Tell them to go away. And that's like, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I enjoy Katie's character. I really like Aquafina. I've seen her in like one other thing.
Yeah, I like her in general, and I didn't mind Katie itself. I don't want to state that. The joke she was making by the time we got to the mystical realm, it was like, okay, I don't feel like they're out of place still, but at this point, now we're training her to use a bow in a day, and she's going to start doing crazy skill level. Like her whole lesson was, I normally, before I get good, I quit. And then you gave me 6 hours, and now I'm super good at a bow. And my thought process was, I get the philosophy. Oh, I quit before I get good. But are you telling me you quit at hour 4? Like how like how quick are you quitting these hobbies and things if you can shoot an arrow through a dragon's throat?
I thought that moment was like the only thing that was like, okay, we're relying a little too much on this character. I thought it would have been better if like her and everyone else shot at the dragon.
Yeah.
Or that
just
mentor
her.
guy, Bo guy, whatever. He didn't die. I feel like that was kind of a waste because it just instantly happened, and then she's like, okay, now I can shoot.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better if he didn't die and she took the shot. Like, we didn't need him in the rest of the movie anyway.
You know what would have been great? Would have been if she shot the arrow, thought she hit it, looked over and saw the old guy and was like, "Oh, that was your arrow?"
Yeah, that would have. I felt like they kind of rushed her at the end to make her viable to work with Shang-Chi. Going all the way to the very ending where Wong is like, "You too," like, oh, okay, so now she's just an Avenger. Okay.
Wong, I don't think Wong gets to decide who the Avengers are. I don't think that's up to him.
Wong's the
Why
new Jarvis.
can't
Didn't
it
you
be
know
up
that?
to Wong? Wong should be the guy that decides.
Because he's
we don't have a
busy
Jarvis.
training Abomination or something. I don't know what he's doing.
We don't have a Jarvis. We need someone that makes that decision. Wong is fine. He put the Abomination on too.
That's fair. I don't know who is leading the Avengers now. Bruce, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. There is no one, and we don't even have like a
Technically
Jarvis.
isn't an Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, this is a different video.
Anyway, so
That's
my
our
opinion
follow.
on
We're
the
going to do it
Katie-
after this one. Stick around. The video tomorrow is going to be who's leading the Avengers.
God. My opinion on Katie being there the whole time. First off, she's clearly kept around because she's the driver. You need the driver for later on in the movie. But I think keeping her along was actually very, very needed because she's what grounds the movie back to the real world. She's
Right.
the
Okay.
only
That's what I was trying to say.
character. Yeah, she's the only character that is just a person. She wasn't trained by assassins. She wasn't a part of any mystical society or anything like that. And without her, I feel like you start you might start finding yourself going into okay, this is starting to get so over the top. Like, this is so unrealistic. But when you got that kid that's just like, what the hell's going on? Why is that person doing this? And what's going on with that?
Okay,
like,
I just want to question, because she's there, you found the dragon battle realistic?
I found it less not realistic.
Oh man, I totally wouldn't believe the dragons are fighting, but there's Katie.
It's mostly actually the like the fight scenes with like the assassins. It makes it seem more like real people doing this as opposed to mystical arts and stuff like that. So
I also did like that at the beginning we established that she drives like she's insane.
Yes.
And then we have a scene where she saves everyone with her driving. Like that was great.
I think that was like that her being kind of the grounding point was established really early on in the first action scene, which, by the way, the action in this movie is phenomenal.
Oh,
the best.
notch.
I'm going to throw it out there. The best out of anything in the MCU right now. I think it's the best because everything else relies
Winter
on
Soldier
CG
still edges
or
it out
powers.
slightly.
I'm going to push Shang-Chi above Winter Soldier.
That's personal taste, I think.
Yeah.
But
When it comes to Winter Soldier, the elevator scene I do think is great, but I think that Shang-Chi just did more than the Winter Soldier went with it. I do think the fight sequences of Winter Soldier is still my favorite MCU movie, but just Shang-Chi had so much choreography. I can say it, right?
I think they're probably equal, but it's just like, for me, like, Winter Soldier edges it out because it's more, the fights are more personal and they're more like they're more intricate
emotion behind them.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there's more emotion, and they're also just specifically the choreography is like way more intricate. Whereas like in this movie, it's intricate in a different way where they're using the environment and it's a lot bigger moves to accomplish like what amounts to really cool action. But in Winter Soldier, it's just more like down to earth, I guess, which makes sense because it's a Captain America movie.
It made me think of
great.
like Jackie Chan movies with how much of the environment they use, like the bus where he's diving between the things, like, but without the over-the-top goofiness that sometimes the Jackie Chan maneuvers get into.
Where you can
like,
tell they're like on strings and stuff.
No, they never. Jackie Chan, they never are. But in Jackie Chan, he'll start using like bread as a weapon. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Yeah, like
It was a nice mix between Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. It was like a nice happy middle there.
because like Jackie Chan goes way over the top with like, oh, look at all these crazy maneuvers I can do, and look how well I can dodge, and oh, I grabbed this broom and this piece of bread and this cheese, and I know how to use it all like a masterful martial art. That's why Jackie Chan movies were great. And I feel like they go to that level without throwing in just weird objects that Jackie Chan likes to throw into the fight, you know?
Excluding cutting a girl's laptop in half.
True.
Poor girl.
She was just writing. But yeah, going back to that scene to finish my point, that scene was really the first time it was like when Shang-Chi like started doing fighting. If Katie wasn't there, then it would not have been as well illustrated that this is something that he has not done in a very long time, that this is a side of him that we don't know. And that was the point of her existing in this movie. And I thought that was well done. But do we want to talk about like Shang-Chi himself? Because I thought,
But hold on. Before we do that, we need to give an honorable mention to the streaming guy on the bus. That guy was too funny to not just quickly at least mention, just because it was so much what you would expect a live streamer to do if that happened.
Yeah. Yo,
no
bros,
regard
I could totally
for
jump
safety.
into this. Yeah. No, I was going to go Katie, too.
All right, yes.
See me. Well, how do you say his actual name?
Simu Liu, I think.
Simu
Liu.
Simu Liu. Okay.
Yes.
I haven't said it anywhere because I know I'm going to butcher it.
It's hard for white people to say names that are just not in our lexicon because they like we're saying Shang-Chi wrong names as well because it's supposed.
Yes.
There's like we don't have words that sound like that in English.
Right. Well, it's actually funny on a side little tangent here because I've been playing a lot more Genshin lately. Apparently, it's hilarious how everyone pronounces the names completely incorrectly. Like, it's just because they're Chinese names and no one says them right.
I mean, everyone said Shang-Chi until this movie came out, and he, like they say it in the movie, like they do just call him Shang-Chi at certain points, but the first time he says it, it's more like Shang-Chi, or like it's more flowy and like makes more sense. But
They did
We're Americans.
They did a fantastic job naming him Sean so that the audience could go, that's the sound.
Yes.
Okay, I can understand because I can
also
say Sean.
I also loved Aquafina making fun of it. So you went from Sean to
Shang-Chi? No, Shang.
It was a great way to play on the proper pronunciation of the name while mocking the idea that he would go from Shang-Chi to Sean.
Right. But yeah, I really liked him in this. Have y'all seen Kim's Convenience or him in anything else?
I've seen
this?
some of Kim's Convenience. That's the Netflix one, right?
No, it's a Canadian show.
I thought it was on Netflix though.
He's Canadian. But
Right,
it's
right.
great.
But I'm saying I could have sworn it's on Netflix. I could have sworn that's where
It might be on Netflix, but it's not a
Okay.
Netflix show.
I'm gonna Google that now. Is it on?
It's great. It got unfortunately canceled and apparently has a lot of drama behind the scenes. But it's a really fun show and he's fantastic in it. And I was really worried that I was going to see his character from Kim's Convenience in Shang-Chi like the whole time. But surprisingly, no, he's just a really good actor and was able to pull this off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously he's going to be stuck in the MCU for a while, but I would not be surprised if we start seeing him pop up in like a million other things. I mean, just like Aquafina is now popping up in a million things. So
I was just say counter to Aquafina, his acting, because I haven't seen that much Kim's Convenience. I saw it is on Netflix. That's where I did see it. But I saw a couple episodes of it because I'm a sitcom kind of guy. I love just cheesy sitcoms. Like I just pop them on and I watch them. So I watched a good chunk of that. And his portrayal from that to this movie is so just different that he does such a great job. But when you
Right.
compare it to Aquafina, who everything that I've seen her in, that's just her. She's Aquafina.
She's definitely the same. This is the same character in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes.
In this movie. That's the same exact
And
character.
same as Raya the Last Dragon. As
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
That's I kept seeing that in this one.
It's funny to see the two of them go side by side because she's just playing, and I'm not even against that because like I'm a fan of The Rock and any movie The Rock's in, he's The Rock.
He's
Like,
The Rock, yeah.
There's nothing. He doesn't change. It's like Tom Cruise. Like no matter what he's in, he's just Tom Cruise. He's just being Tom Cruise. So her doing that and going that route is obviously working for her, but to see him completely change his portrayal of what he's doing to be Shang-Chi, as opposed to, what was the name of the character? I haven't seen that in forever now, Kim's Convenience.
Jung is his
Jung?
name.
Okay.
In Kim's Convenience.
I saw it when it first came out.
It's good. Speaking of actors who can do a variety of roles, Ben Kingsley is in this movie.
I love that they kept that
That was
hidden.
a surprise.
I love that kept hidden, and I also love that
Yeah.
they gave him a sidekick without a face.
Yes. that guy was so
Morrison.
good. And Morris is, I feel like Morris has the capability of becoming a new Baby Yoda. If
they were
Shang-Chi
totally
gets
going
big
for
enough, it's totally going to become like marketable, all of that stuff.
That's fair. There were a lot of fun animal designs, and I love the big lions in that dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
Those guys were
I
great.
really liked how traditional Chinese mythology they used in that mystical realm with all the different creatures. I thought that was fantastic, and all of them looked like they could be real. And I think that's what really made them work. Was it wasn't like oh wow, that's really sticking out that is completely fake. It was more of oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely, and I really appreciate because while I'm not like some Chinese mythology buff, I mean it's well known that I enjoy anime. I play Final Fantasy. I do a lot of Japanese stuff, so I've kind of dabbled in I love mythology in general, and I love to see the differences in culture between like Japanese and Chinese and Korean to American and European. So I recognized a lot of those mythological creatures, and I do love the fact that they chose to use real ones. They didn't just make up a whole bunch of creatures. They kept it to the mythology of China and everything like that. So I really did appreciate that. Just from someone who loves that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Same.
even the dragons looked accurate as opposed to just making them into like a European-style dragon that you would... Like, I was expecting Fin Fang Foom, who kind of blends the European with the Chinese dragon
I'm
styles.
surprised it wasn't Fin Fang.
Or at
thought it
least
was-
not mentioned.
Yeah, when they broke it out, my expectation was Fin Fan Foom was going to come out of that wall, and that was the soul-sucking demon.
Because like, let's get this straight here. I don't want to take some parts away from Shang-Chi here. This is an Iron Man. This is Iron Man 4.
Yeah.
in so many ways. So I fully expected the dragon to be Fin Fang Foom in some way, but
That would have been good.
So yeah, no, his acting is great. Aquafita's is great. Razor Fist, we've already mentioned. The fight sequences are great. Loved all of those.
The dad.
I was gonna move on to
yeah.
him.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say
so-
like
Ben
Mandarin,
Kingsley did
but no.
great, but what? Okay, I'm trying to think of it. Did they actually name him beyond
he's
the
the
Mandarin?
one that makes the Mandarin comment, and he just names off all the different things that he has
Yeah.
been named.
but they don't give him a
didn't call-
superhero name. His name it's Wen Wu or Wen Lu is his
Okay.
like actual. I don't remember which. It's one
Well,
of
because
those.
everyone refers to him as
Wenwu.
dad. He's just dad throughout the entire thing. No one refers to him as anything beyond that. But yeah, Wenlu. Okay, they just didn't go to his name that much, and he didn't have like a superhero name that pops in your mind. You know?
Honestly, I kind of liked it that way. Just
Yeah.
like because it made him seem more powerful of just that unnamed being that has been around for so long that he has had so many different names that he's kind of forgotten his own name.
What did you find there?
He's
Dylan?
credited as the Mandarin on IMDb.
Is
So,
he?
That's not
okay.
helpful.
Well, technically, he is the
Yeah,
Mandarin.
he is the Mandarin, but like
Yeah.
in the movie, they make a point to say that he's not.
Yeah. Well, no, they make a point to say that name is dumb, and I don't know why, like the Americans were afraid of an orange. Like,
Yeah.
I love the way
Which
they
is
did
great.
that. Yeah.
That's a great criticism of the Mandarin in the comics, who has historically been a horribly racist caricature.
Yes. So
Wen
his
Wu
acting was great,
is
and
his
I
name.
will say, even early on, I was kind of on his side. I was questioning
too.
throughout the movie with how well he was acting it. Like, is his wife really on the other side? It wasn't until they got to the village and they definitively stated, no, that is a demon, that I was like, oh, okay, he is the bad guy. Like,
Yeah. It definitely seemed like one of those, this woman truly has turned him into a good guy. I actually kind of believe him in his cause. And,
Yes!
oh, wait, no, he's killing all of her family. Oh, God. Oh, God, no.
oh God, I sided with the wrong side. I understand how people end up in cults now.
which is like very, very much, Marvel's coming out of this age of throwaway villains that they kill every time, and
But he died! Spoilers,
like-
but we already said they're going to be in here.
what I was saying is that we're now in an age of villains that are like more three-dimensional and kind of make more sense. But
he still
I
died.
really enjoyed him. Huh?
He still died. Why didn't he get like sucked into the wall and we'll see him later?
Because if I'm honest, it doesn't matter. Like, he had a full arc. Like,
Okay. He did
I
come
also-
to the realization of his mistakes and that he
Right.
was on the right path and then
like
reverted it.
if they didn't kill him, we would have never seen him again, because there's no reason for him to show back up. Like that, his whole stuff is done. Like, it's not. There's
They
nothing
could have
else you can do with that
CW'd him.
character.
He's in the next 3 movies, just in the background, hanging out. You go, Shang.
It's because he died in a spirit world. He is now a spirit.
That's
And
true.
he'll just randomly show up and he'll be in the clouds and be like, hello, I'm here to
Mufasa?
help. Yeah.
With the amount of sometimes unnecessary flashbacks in this movie, I would not be surprised if he came back in a flashback in another Shang-Chi movie. But who knows?
I mean, I just watched The Quiet Place too, and they brought back the main actor through
John
flashbacks.
Krasinski.
Yeah, through flashbacks. I was like, how was he
Sure.
in this movie? He died in the first one.
He's in the first 10 minutes of it, and then he goes away.
Yeah, he goes away.
Do we want to talk about how we after all this buildup of people being angry that we didn't get the Mandarin, and then they were like, uh-oh, the Mandarin is actually out there, and then we get him, but we don't actually get the Mandarin, because this isn't the Mandarin at all.
Yeah. I think this fixes it. I do. In terms of the MCU, I actually want to have a different video where we can go into a full discussion about how the MCU is kind of fixing a lot of Marvel problems from living as long as it is, and I think it would be a fun discussion. But I do feel like if you take out the fact that they want the Mandarin, that we want a real Mandarin villain that Tony Stark has fought against, we take him at that out, I do think this fixes it. It fixes the problem with Ben Kingsley pretending to be the Mandarin. It fixes the problem with having a villain who is basically the Mandarin. Because we have the villain. We left the name with Ben Kingsley. There's not going to be confusion as to when, like, 10 years down the road when we talk about the Mandarin. No one's going to be like, wait, which Mandarin? No, it's going to be, Shang-Chi's father or Ben Kingsley. No, we established he's Victor. So we've separated them now. We got Victor in Iron Man 3, and we got the Mandarin in this one, basically. I think it does a good job of cleaning up that problem.
Yeah, I think it's because, like, for those that don't know in the comics, like, the main thing that the Mandarin has going for him is his 10 rings of power, and
which are basically Green Lantern rings, for the record. And I want to talk about that, but
well, more to the point, they're basically Infinity Stones, which is why I'm really glad they didn't go comic accurate with them in this movie, because if he showed up and he had 10 like actual rings on his fingers that were all glowing different colors, people would have been like, all right, here we go again. Thanos part 2. So I think they're interesting in the way that they like move in this movie. I think this is my hot take on this movie, and I like the movie, but if you take the 10 rings out of this movie and the whole legend that like surrounds them, nothing would change.
No,
absolutely nothing would be different.
It would be Vandal Savage.
Yeah,
true. But that actually, I agree with you, because that's actually my only complaint with this movie. They changed the 10 rings so much they don't matter. The 10 rings, you could have easily altered to have different power sets. You could have made them not the Infinity Stones. You could have done a number of things with them. But all they did was turn them into these weird rings that do energy blasts and keep you alive forever. Like that's what they did.
I'm very glad they did that.
I am too, but but like the problem is like they just didn't do a good enough job of making the legend of the 10 rings actually important to the what's actually happening in the movie, which is dealing with the big demon that Wenwu wants to break out, who he thinks is his wife.
They even shrugged off the comment that maybe the 10 rings had corrupted Wenlu. How does it say his name?
Wenwu.
But
that is what was happening. That's what they said is like they.
No, they said that he had the rings which had the power to break the wall, so the spirit's speaking to him. But they didn't. Right. But they didn't directly say the rings are causing this. Like the rings are making him corrupt.
No, they did say, though, I believe at one time, that power over time corrupts, and when you've been alive from the beginning of time, that power is like fully corrupting.
Us being confused on what was said in the movie is the point. Like, like that's
they weren't as
clear.
big of a deal as they should have been. It just it's an excuse to give Shang-Chi powers to work with the Avengers, which is where I was going to go with it. I feel like the reason why the rings exist is so that we don't have another Hawkeye problem, where Shang-Chi turns into a joke where it's like, we got a Hulk, we got a guy that can fly, we got a guy with a robot arm, and Bruce Lee. Like I want it. Like they're probably trying to avoid that joke from becoming a thing, because that became Hawkeye. Hawkeye has a song on the set of Jimmy Kimmel where he sings that he's not useless. Like
I think it also that was definitely one part of it, and clearly by the mid-credits scene. Like they have plans for this character and his artifact now. So I don't know. I just thought that was my main criticism of the movie, is just like the 10 rings don't make any sense being here.
So I want to actually comment on the 10 rings, because I really like what they did with them. Because the movie is called Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, not the 10 Rings and Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi. And I believe it's Shang-Chi, technically. But anyway. Nicolaj. I really liked it because I feel like if they went too comic book accurate, or they dove too much into the rings, there would be too much that they would have to flesh out to make them kind of make sense, make you have any real understanding of what's going on. And it takes away from Shang-Chi. And I also really, thematically speaking, I really liked the way that they utilized the rings and the way that his dad uses them versus, spoiler, we're allowed to say spoilers, right? Yeah, we already did.
We opened the video by saying
I know. Shang-Chi uses them as well. Whenever his dad uses them, they're always rigid blue, very forceful, like very deliberate attacks. And whenever Shang-Chi used them, they were always very flowing and golden and smooth. And I really liked that, just like thematically speaking, seeing the difference of just the pure power versus like the flowing technique. And I really liked that in the rings. And I actually really liked the way that they used it throughout the whole thing. It also made the characters seem more powerful, because you had to look at them and go, oh, he's really good at fighting, and the rings accentuate that, as opposed to just, oh, he literally just aims this at someone and they die. Like,
Right.
like I actually really liked the way that they did the rings, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where they go with it, because there is still the possibility that we get the original rings, and that like for some reason they got changed into the form that they are because of.
I actually what you've just said kind of brings back to what Dylan was saying, where they don't really get explained. They don't play much into the plot. We never even understood why Shang-Chi could take the rings and control them so easily. Like
Or why they changed colors, or
why they
blah,
changed
blah,
color.
blah.
Are they looking for a worthy person? Are they super powerful? Is he super powerful? We don't know the reasoning. They just landed in front of him, and he was like, well, look what I can do now. Check this out.
Yeah, I think like stuff like that, I don't think is super important, because it's not like Mjolnir, where like they picked Wenwu or whatever. He just happened to find them. But I think the issue comes in where like when the climax of your movie hinges on Shang-Chi being able to wield them, and wield them to a degree that he's able to kill the big demon thing. It gets a little more muddy, and also it's just like, you know, for it is kind of a nitpick, but just for a tighter script and a tighter movie, like you would want a thing that's called out in the title of your movie to have more bearing on the actual plot, and it just, at the end of the day, like it feels, the Ten Rings and Mandarin being in this movie feel more like fan service than they're actually servicing the plot itself. Which I know, like, to a degree, you need that in a comic book movie like this. But when you're already making a point to have Wenwu say that he is not called the Mandarin, and you are changing the rings completely, like, at that point, why even have them in the movie, other than a fun visual? And also, like, him being super duper old really doesn't matter past you being told that. So, like, there's just stuff about the character that's like, this is in here because if it wasn't, people would be mad at us.
I feel like the reason that they claimed out his age and just kind of specified, one, it does add to the legend, but I also think it helps with the actor, because then we can have him in this flashback and he still looks the same, and now he's the dad on the current day and he's still the same. Like, oh, he just doesn't age. Unless he takes the rings off, and then he doesn't instantly age, he ages slowly. So if he puts it back on, you won't even notice he aged.
That's fair. I think it's like, it's such a trivial thing that like, it's still a good movie regardless, but it is interesting to note that like, if you took those out, does it really matter?
No. So final verdict on the whole movie. This is honestly in my top 5 MCU movies at this point. I haven't really thought out my new order. Winter Soldier is still the peak, because I'm a fan of Winter Soldier as a character. It'd be like if DC came out with a pile of turd movie and called it Red Hood, I'd probably be like, best DC movie ever. So like, you're not going to take that one away.
I don't like the implication that Winter Soldier is a turd movie.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's never going to be dethroned for me, like, ever, because it has one of my favorite Marvel characters in it, and the movie's incredible. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a turd.
But if a Red movie came out, a Red Hood movie came out, it would be a turd, and you would still love it.
Because DC made it. Like, let's not even split hairs here. I love DC, but it'd probably be super dark and moody and grim, and probably not even involve the Red Hood. And
so that's why you like Titans so much.
Whatever, Dylan. What I'm saying is, it's definitely in my top 5 now. But I'm also the guy that loves Ant-Man, so, which is apparently everyone
Ant-Man's
hates.
great.
Ant-Man's still in my top 5 as well.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, even better.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, basically it's like, I think it's like Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi, Ant-Man, Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I want to throw one of the Spider-Men in there, but sadly I don't think I can.
This is
I
another
got Doctor
video.
Strange.
Yeah,
honestly,
we're doing another video.
I love Doctor Strange in there.
Doctor Strange, that's a good one. We'll discuss that in another video. What do you think, Dan? Final verdicts.
Oh, top 5 easily. I love martial arts films. I loved like the old Bruce Lee films. So the fighting in this was amazing. The visuals were amazing. All around, loved the movie. Easy top 5.
I don't love it as much as y'all do, because I don't think it's top 5 for me. But again, I haven't sat down and like ranked them. But like coming out of this movie, my direct thought was like, that was a lot of fun. But aside from the really cool action, also something we didn't mention is the soundtrack. Soundtrack is also super good.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
I liked it. It reminded me of Black Panther. where like I go into it, it's definitely got to get with a theme. And I really dug the Black Panther soundtrack, and like this one too. I just really dug what they did with the Shang-Chi. It wasn't stereotypical, it wasn't just orchestrated rises and swells. It was like they really fit into the movie. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. But like other than those two things, it just seemed like kind of a typical Marvel movie to me. But I know like that's not a criticism. Like that's a typical Marvel movie is like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like that's not a bad thing. And this one's doing like gangbusters over just
98% right now.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm going to say normally these things kind of get review bombed. So I'm kind of surprised that this is staying up that high. Cause normally it's like, it's 98%.
Not Marvel stuff.
Then it
DC
came out.
stuff does. Marvel stuff has like the opposite effect where they always are like 10% higher than they should be because people don't want to piss Disney off. But yeah, I think it was a fun movie. I will watch it again at some point, probably when it comes out on Disney Plus. I'll go through and
for those who are wondering, Sal was unable to watch it due to COVID restrictions, so there will be a secondary Disney Plus review in 45 days.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. My name is Benny. That is Dan. That is Dylan. Every day, every week, we watch all the superhero stuff, and we talk about it right here at Absolutely the Marvel and DC. We come up with discussions. We do our own analytical reviews from three guys who just watched the movies. We do theories. We do it all right here, and if you enjoy this type of video, please consider sticking around as we bring out a lot of content right here. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, right here at Absolutely Marvel and DC.